Yeah, real live. All right.
Okay, calling the meeting, Council on Aging to order at 2 o'clock on May 10th. Going to ask, did everybody read the minutes from last month? I know Mike sent them out on email, so I don't know if you read them on email at home or brought them in. Just go over a couple minutes what you received from him. Anybody have any questions?
Give a second.
Second.
A second, okay. Okay, motion to accept. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, just a quick comment if I can before we kind of get into the crux of the meeting. The sign-in sheet is going around. I see, Kathy, can you make sure everyone signed in?
Everybody has signed it.
Beautiful.
I don't know about Dan. Did you sign it, Dan? Should Dan be on here as a visitor?
Dick is a member.
Oh, Dick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I saw the mask and I remember you
It's
said
the
Dan
mask.
Kelly was going to be here.
Yeah.
And it kind of looked like Dan with the, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, Dick. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I could make a copy of this because I did it last month. It was from memory. You know how bad that is.
Okay, there's something else you want to mention?
Nope, that's it.
That's it, okay. Have the treasurer's report?
Okay,
You can pull that close.
closer
Should be plenty of.
even, huh? Okay, we have the treasurer's report for the period ending April 30, 2022. And the first is our general fund. And we have a balance of $37,280, and that should, our fiscal year ends on June 30, so we only have 2 months to go, May and June. So I know that Mike Ellis is keeping a good check on everything, so if anything is in the negative, I'm sure he will make transfers at the end. So we are in pretty good condition. In April, we spent $14,882.95, and so we are in, I think we're in good shape. And if not, well, you have to blame Mike Ellis and me. I'm the treasurer. I spent it at the Derby. Okay, then of course we have our gift fund, and in April, we had expenses of $44.95. What was that for?
Yeah, it actually shows on the book for $44.95. It was a mistake. It was classified to the wrong account.
Oh, okay.
So
They do that.
rather than not show it, it is being reclassed to the right account.
They do that occasionally up at City Hall. They classify things.
All right, I think that was done at the senior center by yours truly.
Oh,
So
well, right.
I apologize.
No, I'm sure it was down at City Hall. Anyway, the gift fund is in good shape, and we did get a couple of gifts this month. One was from the Knowlton Foundation, $875, and in memory of Leo Richard, $25. So those 2 accounts are good. And then the next is the revolving fund, and again, that is in very good shape. We have $27,888.41, and we are allowed to keep, I think it's $20,000, so we're in good shape. During the month, we spent $6,521.93, and you can see that everything is listed there, the different expense items and the food items. If you have any questions about any of them, Mike is here and will be happy to answer. And the last we have is our state grant, which has come in and been credited, and at the moment, we have $34,368.68 in that account. And we are able, and we gotta take that last sentence off the bottom there, because we do have our grant now.
Oh, I don't have it on mine.
Oh, you don't?
So, oh, you got an original. Yeah, that's true. No, I do have to take that out. Yeah.
That-
On the detail report.
Yeah, on the detail report. We just always, till we get the grant, we keep those two sentences on there, but now we have the grant, so we can take it off. And, I say, if any questions, just ask us. I think everything is here.
And we try to give you detail, as specific as we can, with kind of, I just say with, as specific with generality. So we talk about like food, or programs, or, you know, other types of purchases. So those are kind of broken down for you. You know, mostly like when you look at expenses from Walmart or Dollar Tree, those are expendables, they're like paper plates or decorations, things like that. But a lot of detail there. Of course, if you have any specific questions about any particular fund, expense, or use, please let us know and we'll give you the detail.
I have a question. On the homeless assistance,
Yep.
what does that entail?
So the emergency fund was set up actually in September of last year. We got a grant for $10,000
Okay.
to provide emergency assistance to seniors. So we do things, you know, really based on need, and this year it's been temporary housing vouchers. So folks, there were a lot. There were 16 units on Nickel Street, 12 units on Nickel Street, and we worked with about 8 other seniors who were displaced for various reasons. So we provided some vouchers. We were able to leverage the money that we use for vouchers with the Gardner CAC and their vouchers, so we were able to extend that a little bit and provide more services. We did food, we did some emergency repairs, which included a boiler, a pressure tank, and electric radiator. Somebody went in to a senior's house and in her bathroom the wiring was exposed and was literally sparking while he was there. So he called and said anything we can do. So we assisted them as well. So that's emergency repairs. Emergency repairs, by the way, if you notice, are actually under 2 funds. We first allocated them to the first fund just because we didn't have the grant signed and didn't want to show an expense in somewhere where we didn't have, you know, the money, in a fund where we didn't have the money. Those will be reclassified. We always do an end-of-year reclassification, so we'll look at expenses, see what's eligible for which fund, reclass those expenses so that they all fall in line.
Very good, thank you.
Any other discussions on the budget? I mean, the treasury report, excuse me, closed. All right, do we have any, go ahead, can I get somebody make a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, so numbered. All right, next issue. We're just talking about the election.
Election of officers, because I'm not obviously eligible to be an officer, I do want to let folks know that there is a provision in the bylaws that calls for an executive officer of the Council on Aging, and that executive officer is generally the director of the senior center through his or her term of appointment. So with that, then if it's okay with you, Chairman Director, I'll officiate over the election. Will that work?
Yes.
Okay, because obviously, well, at least for the first part, because you're eligible. So the first thing is to accept nominations for the position of Chairman of the Council on Aging. Would anybody accept the nomination for Chairman of the Council on Aging? So Ron would accept. Anybody else interested in accepting the nomination? Remember, only existing appointed members of the board are eligible for officer position. Anybody else interested in the chairman position? Hearing none, may I have a motion to close nominations and cast one ballot for the nomination of Ron Dometka for chair?
So moved.
So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Second by Pat Chandris. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say me. Ron Dometka is now the chair for another year. Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you.
You don't get combat pay, just so you know. All right, so Ron,
That's why I got the tie on today.
if you want to do the
I was
other,
wondering why.
No, I'm just being funny.
you want to do the other position, so the next position would be vice chair.
Okay. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I would ask the board to consider tabling the election of vice chair for a month, if that would be possible.
I move that we table vice chair until the June meeting.
June,
You
I
just-
second it. Why is that?
So the discussion, its motion's been made and seconded. May I answer that, Ron?
yes, you may.
So we did have someone who expressed interest from the appointed members of the board to serve as vice chair. However, his appointment is not finalized, so we can't appoint him as vice chair until the city council confirms his appointment. That's the rationale behind tabling. And by the way, that's been an issue for us this year, because we didn't have an officiating officer in the absence of Ron. So if Ron had a conflict, or I had a conflict, typically we'd have to reschedule. Now having a vice chair affords us the opportunity for that continuity of purpose and designation. So I think that's a great thing. That's the last thing. So there's been discussion on the motion. We do need to vote on the motion.
Yeah. Okay, do we have people want to vote on
Table.
tabling this until next month, until the month of June?
All in favor?
All-
Aye.
Very well, we'll table it until then. Anybody opposed?
Beautiful.
Okay, we're all set till June. Okay.
Treasurer?
I was gonna say, okay, now we need some nominations for treasurer.
Terry?
I would accept, yes.
We'll do another year, okay. Anybody else? All right.
So, Mr. Chair, from a formality perspective, I think we need a motion. I would suggest a motion to close nominations and cast one ballot for the position of treasurer for Terry Hillman. If you are agreeable.
I am agreeable to that, yes. So,
So we'll entertain that motion.
entertain a motion to accept Terry Hillman as treasurer for another year with us.
So moved.
Okay, so we're all set. We've got Terry who's accepted, and she will be with us for another year for our treasurer. Thank you.
For those of you who didn't know, that position also comes with a 2-week trip to Aruba. Congratulations.
I don't know if I wanna go to a real,
That's the only place.
Well, don't go to the Bahamas.
I'll
Okay.
think about it.
And then the last was just the secretary.
Okay, now we need a nomination for anybody for secretary. Anybody want to be, anybody wants to mention their name? They want to become secretary?
I think I'll do it for another year.
Okay. And nominate Kathy.
Okay, very good. Nominating Kathy, do we have a second on that?
I second it.
Okay, anybody have any, want to discuss it?
Anybody else interested?
Anybody else
Anybody else
interested?
interested?
We can't be
Oh, you can't be interested?
You're gonna be the other
So,
one.
Mr. Chair, I recommend,
Okay.
Usually miss something, Kathy.
I have no
I
idea.
recommend asking for a motion to close nominations and
Yes.
vote, cast one ballot for Kathy O'Brien.
I move that we close nominations and cast one ballot for Kathy O'Brien to be secretary for the ensuing year.
Okay, I'll second that. Very good. So we have Kathy with us again.
Nope.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Oh. Anybody in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Anybody opposed? Okay.
And just like that, we have our slate for official purposes. Position of chairman is Ron Dometka. Vice chair, we're holding open for a month, and we'll vote on that in June. Treasurer Terry Hillman and Secretary Kathy O'Brien. Congratulations, and And good luck.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say too, you know, a man could always be secretary, but I mean, you're gonna do something better. But-
That would be something
No,
better.
a
Something better.
man
Well, I
can
just
always
picked
be-
that up from what you said.
Something better.
Yeah, and in Massachusetts, Secretary of an organization serves as clerk, so they actually hold all the official papers and are truly the only ones authorized to, represent those documents, while the chairman signs on behalf of the secretary holds them. It's actually, the secretary holds them. So it's really important, it's an important job, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, now, what about the other motion to elect Mike Ellis as, not what he said. Should we do that right now while we're doing it?
I think you should, and thank you for bringing that up. I was going to mention it to
What
Ron.
about, so we could mention,
So I'll read this,
read it.
I'll read this out to you. The chair, with the approval vote of members of the COA, shall appoint the senior citizen director to be CEO of this Council on Aging to terms of 3 years. I don't think we did that last year, corresponding with the senior center's regular appointment by the mayor. So I would suggest that you make this a 2-year appointment to coincide with my appointment by the mayor.
Okay.
If you are so inclined. The COO shall have charge of all business affairs and property of the Council on Aging in its general operations. The CEO shall prepare an agenda and in conjunction with the chair will render at its regular scheduled meetings the financial condition of the COA. The chair shall assist in preparing with the CEO an agenda that conforms with Article 2 and preside at the COA meetings.
Okay, I make a motion that we, vote to approve Michael Ellis as CEO of the Gardner Council on Aging for a period of 2 years in accordance with, is that a document?
Article 7,
Article 7.
Section 2
Section 2
of the bylaw.
of the bylaw. I made that motion.
I'll second
Any discussions on it? Okay. Let's have the vote. All those who want to accept Michael?
I.
Okay,
Aye.
so voted. He's done such a great job for the last year, well, what,
Yeah.
15 months?
15 months,
Yeah, he's done a terrific job. We really want to stay on the scenes up here right now under his leadership, so I'm glad he's accepted to stay on for another 2 more years. Okay, we go into new business now?
Nothing much to report on the COVID, well, there is a lot to report on COVID-19 update. There's nothing in it from a timely perspective happening right now, but I think in the future, we're watching Massachusetts rates in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, across Worcester County, and across New England. So we're looking at all 3 areas, trying to track and trace number of new cases. There was a report that Massachusetts is up 39% from this time last year, but please remember last year we were at a kind of a pretty low point, so not last year, last month. So we've been at a low for the last couple months. We're starting to tick up again. We're going to watch that. If indeed we need to respond, I'll probably do a temporary response, whatever that looks like, whether it's the requirement to wear masks or closures, whatever that is, and then come back to the board to ratify that. So everything will be a 30-day kind of situation until you have a chance to review.
Because I was going to bring that up on the new business. I wasn't sure how you were going to be doing that.
Yeah.
Are we getting leadership from
We are.
from the hospital and Board of Health in Gardner?
That has declined a little bit in kind of in response to the dropping rates and the dropping levels of COVID infection in our area. So we really haven't been as engaged as we were before. At the high point, we're probably talking once a week with our 3 advisors. Haywood Hospital Infectious Disease, Community Health Center Infectious Disease and Compliance, and the Board of Health. And so they kind of gave us some suggestions, ideas, thoughts on how to navigate this. But the last couple months, especially since we lifted the mask restrictions, we haven't done that. So as we look at rates, if there's a response necessary, we'll bring them back. They've been a good sounding board for us, so I don't see a reason why we wouldn't want to keep them as advisories and a sounding board, give us direction. In addition, we have the COVID clinic coming up on the 1st, on June 1st. That's a COVID clinic that's available for anyone, any age that's eligible, and any modality. So we have first shot, second shot, third shot for immunosuppressed people or compromised people. We have first booster, second booster in all 3 vaccine types, Moderna, Pfizer, and J&J. That's open for appointment if people want to schedule a time and be assured that they'll be taken at that time, or walk-ins. Walk-ins always play kind of second fiddle to scheduled appointments, so a walk-in is vaccinated at next available opportunity. I don't really think that's going to have an implication. We did 350 people at one of our clinics, and it felt like nobody was there. I mean, so the vaccinators know their job, the the group know their job, facilities will get people in and out in less than 20 minutes, so that's a pretty good deal.
Are you gonna have the same crew that you had when you were at the
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we have the same vaccinators. We won't have some of the celebrity vaccinators we've had in the past, like Dr. Mulqueen, Dr. Scripsack, Dr. Harrington, but they send a whole team from CHC, so at the last clinic it was a little bit of overkill. I think we had 10 vaccinators, 3 professionals who were drawing up the vaccine, and we'll probably do a heavy lift and ask for some folks to come in and draw, like for example Paula Mulqueen, who has been just a great help to us. But we have an amazing group of volunteers that do registration, help flow, do observation. Without them, by the way, we would not nearly be as effective. So I really want to make sure that people understand that while there's a clinical staff that is crazy good, the real other side of it is the logistical side that our volunteers do so well. So I want to just make sure that they're recognized for that. And then lastly, we have a bunch of test kits. The test kits expire in July, so they have some time, and for previous rounds of test kits, the shelf life has been extended. So even though the expiration date may say July, it's really good for another 6 months. They haven't quite done that with this lot yet, but they will. We anticipate that happening. But I would still like to deploy as many test kits as we can, especially in light of rising numbers. So just a shout out to the community that if you have a need, please come to the senior center. We can get you connected with kits. We have an ample supply, and not only do we have a supply here, we have a supply through the city. So there's plenty of test kits to be had at zero cost to our consumers.
I have a question regarding the KN95 masks, which they say are the best ones to have. When you're giving out those kits, would any of those masks be available? So
masks have been a little bit more difficult. Early on in the pandemic, we were able to get a pretty good supply of masks. I think we got 5,000 from Hayward Hospital and 5,000 from CHC. The city also has been continually re-upping our supply for use here at the center. But general kind of broad distribution numbers, we don't have. But we have a request in to see whether or not they'd be available, but don't know yet. Any other questions, Bob's?
Okay. Next on the list is the bylaw update. I don't believe we have done anything with bylaws yet.
We haven't. Ron and I talked about identifying maybe 1 or 2 members of the board that would be willing to sit on a bylaw review update committee. We're also going to ask for some resources from the community. We talked about different attorneys that might come and serve with us on that. It's not a heavy lift, and I don't think we should make it more than it needs to be, but they do need to be refreshed. They should be updated and really represent what we do and what our roles are and what is actually happening, not necessarily what's on paper. The other thing that's holding us up is we're waiting for an answer from the city clerk. specifically about the city charter, and whether there are provisions in the charter or city ordinances that comment or refer back to the composition of the board, for example. If there are, then we'll have to do simultaneous updates to the ordinance and or city charter. If it's city charter, it's a little bit more involved. So we can't really make changes to the bylaws if they would be in conflict with either one of those other two documents. So we're just waiting to get clarification about what the specificity is in the ordinance and the city charter to determine what our next steps are on the bylaw. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't get the group together, and having that group convene and look them over and refresh what we can would be good. So
Would we have the city solicitor, or would we have the, or T would come, or not? City clerk?
my feeling is probably not. No. Unless their ordinance or charter changes, then we'll ask them what they want to do for that. But they probably have their own group that reviews that. So we'll make recommendations and see what they say.
Okay, that'd be good.
You know, if we make changes to the bylaws, we have to see, we have to submit that back to the city council.
No.
No?
So, no. So the composition of the Council on Aging was created by city charter some time ago. The bylaws are separate and distinct from the Council on Aging, although we may do that, Paul, just for, as a courtesy, bring it to the council to review. All of this is going to be flushed out when we get what the ordinance and charter say. So if the ordinance and charter say we need to do that, we will, but we're kind of stuck right now.
And how many people are you looking for the bylaws?
Just a few, no more than 5, I think, but that includes 2 from the board, maybe an attorney from the community, a representative from the welfare committee of the city council, and maybe the mayor's rep, as well as a staff person.
And it can be an associate member on the board?
Sure, yeah, yep, absolutely. Or not, yeah.
I'm just saying.
In other words, you have to be elected member of the board.
No, thank you.
I don't think so.
Does that-
I didn't look at you, I was looking at Tim. No, but I mean, the associate members should know that that's available if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives more, more of an audience to choose from,
Right.
rather than just a.
Yeah, it's not limited to the elected. And what they would do is they would make recommendations for changes. The changes have to come before the Council on Aging for a vote in order to be approved. They can't just be approved by this group. So they're going to review and make changes, recommended proposed changes, bring it back to the Council on Aging for ratification, and then as a courtesy probably send it to the council for their review and approval. So it's a process, but it's a much more legitimate process when we have many hands involved as opposed to doing it in isolation.
I remember you and I were talking about it, and you had mentioned that they haven't been updated in quite a while.
They haven't been updated in a while. Yeah,
I've updated it twice in 20 years,
yeah.
When was the last time? Do you recall?
8 years ago anyway, all of
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
A little dusty and gray.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, in the grand scheme of things, I've worked with organizations that have had bylaws that have never been changed since they started. So that was that's why I say I don't think this is a heavy lift. I think it's refreshing, and for full transparency, some of the things we talked about just kind of floated around is whether or not to eliminate the specific representatives. I'm not recommended either way. I think that's the group's purpose and mission is to say whether or not we should have seated members. But it does cause some issues when, say, there's no consistency in those organizations to have, people elected. And the other thing I think you've seen is our commitment, certainly Chairman Darmecka's commitment and my commitment to ensuring that both those organizations are represented. I think that we can do that in absence of specific seats, and then we can manage those seats a little bit better. It affords us, 2 additional 3-year terms to manage as opposed to every year having to refresh those. So but that's for the group to decide. But that's just one thing we could look at. Okay.
Okay, next thing on the list would be for trade resources. I don't think we're getting too many people getting in.
Nah, we put the word out on Facebook. We've emailed asking for referrals and recommendations. We've talked to the building inspector, a couple of the lumber supply companies, and asked them, hey, if you can grab things for us. But there's really no great movement towards creating that resource thing here. We are going to still continue to do it. We are adding some additional pamphlet boards. So including in that addition will be a business card holder for folks that want to do trades. That'll grow over time, but you know, right now it isn't a huge. And really, the reason is people aren't hungry for work. There's a lot of work out there. If you're looking to get work done, it's going to happen many weeks unless it's a super emergency, because all of our contractors in all the trades are busy. So they don't need to advertise, they don't need to do referral networks, they're not looking to network. They got all the business they need right now.
Yeah, they're catching up with all the COVID stuff they couldn't do
Yep.
for 2 years.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Listening sessions.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if it's okay, I'm gonna come up Thursday morning with the bread and raffle we have here.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people I see here who come to that, and I don't always see upstairs for
Other activities, so hitting another group of people and trying to see if I can convince some of them to come up to the next listening session on May 23rd, I believe.
Monday, yeah, 1:30, you got it.
So,
Yes.
be upstairs.
In the first listening session, we had
First listening
a
session,
few
we had
people,
eight
which was
people.
nice, yep.
Had 8 people, the next one there was myself.
Well, one person.
And then Julie from upstairs came down.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit, but that was it. Didn't get any other people come in that day. It was kind of cold and windy that day, if I'm not mistaken, so maybe a lot of people just.
It was ugly.
Yeah, so people didn't come out, but I would like to come up on Thursday of next week to push the listening session a little bit with a different group of people that we don't always see.
Ron, you want to talk about, for anybody who might be watching today's meeting, what the listening session is, so that we might...
Yeah, we're trying to get ideas from people. We're not looking just for complaints, we're looking for positive things. We want to know what people think of the senior center, what they would like to see done. If they have any groups they would like to see done here at the center, other programs, that's what we're looking for. Anything that people go to other senior centers, Winchendon, Westminster, Templeton, whatever, and they see what they do there, then they say, hey, maybe we could do that here. So those are the things that we're looking for information. So it's a kind of a good informational background setting that we have, and we just sit there and we take notes and get ideas from people coming in.
I think it's important to note that these listening sessions are not limited to people who participate in the center currently, that we're really looking to hear from seniors in the community about the programs and services we do and how we can enhance those programs and services to reach a pretty large population of seniors who don't use the senior center here, and that, by the way, is consistent in all communities, right? We get a percentage, but it's still just a percentage. So how do we reach them? All while considering those 3 big factors. Safety, the more people we bring in, the less we're able to manage flow. We've had a number of incidents on the stairs. We're trying to limit that. And how do we get people in and out of the building effectively without directing them to the stairs? Our second thing is space. We still talk about a lot of different programs. We're looking now at doing pickleball courts, pickleball here at the senior center, which is unbelievably popular. But again, it's fitting it into the schedule with limited space and time. Yeah, so pickleball courts are small. They're 40 by 20, we can put 2 upstairs. But it's just about blocking off that time to play pickleball. And then the third thing is parking. I mean, the more programs we have, where do we put people? So I don't know if you, I'm going to go ahead and say it. We're going to be putting in the Ron Darmedka multi-level garage.
We're trying to get the land in the back, too.
Yeah, I mean, those kinds of things would be great to expand parking. So those, as a board, those are 3 things we really wrestle with. How do we bring new programs and services in, recognizing that we're limited for space, limited for parking, and there's a safety issue.
And wouldn't there be quite a liability involved with a pickleball court?
There is I think, with all activities, so with all of our other activities, they do a waiver, they sign in when they sign in. So yeah, we would be flushing all that out too, the liability side. But, Yeah, there's liability. The city has insurance for that, but yeah.
I guess there's liability in life, right?
There's liability in life, and
On the stairs.
yeah, and on the stairs, right? 13 people so far. So, so you take a pickle.
Okay, okay.
It has nothing to do with pickle. It's like
I'm gonna go back to rehab.
It's a cross between tennis and table tennis. So it's much less impactful, much less vigorous movement than tennis, but not quite as passive as table tennis or ping pong. It's a net and paddles and balls and
But there's no pickles, right?
there's no.
Okay.
I wouldn't relish the idea.
I'm sorry I asked.
Just want to mention one of, well, maybe two things on the listening session, because when we had our first meeting, some people mentioned about location. Like a lot of people sometimes say, you had mentioned it also that people come from out of town, like where you're living, they're coming from other cities. And they're living here in town and they don't know where our senior center is. So I spoke with Mike afterwards and he took care of it, it looks like. I'm going to see what happens. I suggested that we put a sign here at the top of the hill at Willow Street showing with an arrow telling people the senior center is down here on Pleasant Street. Because a lot of people didn't know just where we were located, so we're going to do that. I had suggested one time about the police station, but I guess that was going to be a little bit more difficult because you got 2 lanes on Main Street. You don't know anybody in this lane here on the right. You know, oh, I got to make a left turn and cut across. So we knocked that one off, but we're going to put one up by Brazel's package store, probably that telephone pole.
Okay.
So there'll be a sign facing, pointing out to this way to the senior center.
That's a good idea.
And then as a follow-up, I talked to Doug about putting one at the bottom of Pleasant Street on West Broadway too.
Oh, very good. Before going up the hill. Okay. Yeah.
Or the other end, Pleasant.
Down by Salvador by the bridge, I believe. That's what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And the other thing I was going to mention.
Let me just make a quick comment about those signs. I love to give credit where credit's due. The DPW Lines and Signs Department, amazingly supportive of us. I can't say enough about Director Dane Arnold and his crew from Lines and Signs, Doug Monroe. Everything, yeah. So Ron mentioned this when we called Doug right away and said, "Is it doable?" He said, "It's a done deal. Whatever you need, we'll do it." That's kind of a cool, place to live. Yeah, when you can work when you have that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so since we did such a good job that way, how about getting some lines on the street here now that winter's over?
I think that, yeah.
There's a lot of spaces on the street, but they're hard to get to because you get parking with cut-ins for people's driveways and stuff. And so people having a hard time knowing just how far can I park on the street, because we've noticed it looking out the window a few times that people park in between the 2 spots, and it kind of messes up to put 2 cars in the same spot. You only got one, so that's why I've suggested wait till springtime when the winter's over, streets have been picked up with the sand, and get it all off the streets and be all good and clean. And
So talking to Lines and Signs, that's a double-edged sword.
How is it?
So in some of our programs, our seniors get very creative in parking and are able to squeeze out some additional spaces. If we do the lines, and they're certainly willing to do that, that we would limit that creativity. So we might lose a couple of spaces. It seems like we would gain more, but we wouldn't. We'd actually lose spaces with the
Yeah,
lines.
it's just the creativity.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I thought it was a good term.
one of the things I thought about was when they put streets in, parking spaces, they usually put a line and they got these arrows that go into the corner where driveways. I said we may end up losing space that way too.
Yeah.
But I said I'd bring it up and have them look at it and see what their suggestion would be and take it from there. So.
Our neighbors have been great here. They're just, they're good neighbors. They don't complain about programs. But similarly, they use the parking lot as an open public parking lot, so they don't have much to do.
Thursdays are a hard time for parking because the rubbish barrels are on the sidewalks and it's kind of right. You
That's
don't want to block up trash day.
Right,
The barrel they come
right.
down.
Do that.
Harvey comes down the street and try to get the barrels in your cars there. So it's really difficult. I know some a few times I've gone on Thursday for the bread raffle.
Yeah, wicked important consideration though, because Thursday is our big day here, and we are we are severely hampered
Yeah, we lose those
because of
spaces.
things that are happening around us on parking, so yeah, good point.
Okay, on the new business, director's report.
I'm gonna go through this fast and furious. Of course, if you ever have any questions, interrupt me. But we already talked about COVID. We have intergenerational programs we're announcing for this summer, which will include kids from Hope, grandchildren of some of our members that are bringing them in. We'll do crafts, have some trips. They're going to play bingo. Our fitness instructors have all offered and are planning on having kids as part of those programs. Exercise and fitness, just so you know, we have a new yoga instructor. After 7 years, Sue Medeiros and her husband Ray have moved out of the area. And so Sue, sadly, resigned her position. But right away, we brought a new person on, Stephanie. So Steph has been great. She's been well received. I take people aside and get comments. And so far, Steph Lazard's been doing a great job. We do need to make a purchase of some new mats and blocks during that transition. People took some of their stuff home, so it's no longer here. I'd like to just get a small supply so that we had it here at the center for general purpose use. People could just take and use. We have our seasonal stroll, and this year we're adding to our senior swim day, Friday mornings, starting at 10 o'clock. We're adding a water aerobics. So we have a water aerobics instructor that's going to teach at the Greenwood Pool for people who are hardy enough to go into the cold water of the Greenwood Pool. So that'll be great. Quilters Guild, just so you know, we have at least 2 meetings. We have at least 2 meetings a week at night here. We do Quilters Guild. We have support groups. There's always some reason that we have to be here late at night. So that has generated some interest, like why is the senior center lit up and open? We don't leave the lights on. There are folks using it, which is great. We have the facility. We're hoping soon we're going to be having a night or evening meal here. So that will give us an additional use. The center should be open and available. The more programs we do, the more people will know that we're here, right? So we want to do that. Technology and education, not a lot going on. Computer and technology classes we're hoping to offer. Don't forget legal considerations for seniors, which will talk about wills, proxies, charitable trusts, DNRs, power of attorney, guardianship, all of those things on June 7th with attorney Gina Wilson from Pulsateri and Wilson. Finances and investments after retirement program is coming up this fall, put on by Paul Fitzpatrick from GFA. Lighthouse Financial, I think is the name of the place. And this coming Monday, we have RHR Real Estate coming in to do a program on getting your house ready to flip, or on, talking about how you can get rid of some of that stuff that maybe you have been acquiring over time. Support groups, I don't know if you know, but we have 5 support groups now that meet at the Senior Center. We have our Vet to Vet Cafe, which meets on Fridays, LGBTQI, which meets at night, our caregiver, which meets on the alternating Fridays, Menders, which is a support group for men of all ages, on Wednesday nights, and TOPS, which meets on Thursday morning. Do a lot of communications. I think the 2 big ones, I won't really want to say, or 3, electronic message boards on all floors. We just bought a TV, a smart TV for down here, to do the message board downstairs. We have the big message board in the hall, and we have one in the hallway. The Gardner CAC also has 2 message boards, one in the top stairway and one in their lobby area off the elevator. So they're also utilizing message board technology to spread the word about programs and services. Our senior moments we do once a month. Our guest this month, I'm hoping, is Mike Nicholson, the mayor. We tape that, we record that in studio, and then it's broadcast out for 2 to 3 weeks on WGET at various times. I don't give them enough credit. I talk often about our partners, but since day one, GET not only invited and allowed us, and they invited us in. They made the call. They were very proactive. They really wanted to have the seniors community engaged. We have a great relationship with them. They put our slides up, put our programs up. It's a great resource in our community. We're so appreciative of Tim and Matt and the whole crew at WGET for supporting our senior center. And then social media, we're just hammering out. We try to do daily posts. So the daily post might be an update of what's coming up the next day or something that happened that day, but we try to do at least a once a day post on Facebook. But if you are following us now, you'll see sometimes it's 3 or 4, and you say, why so many? But there's just a lot going on. If you're not, as board members and associate board members in the community watching this, please like us and follow us on Facebook. As we see more likes, it increases the engagement on our Facebook and therefore our programs. Last month, in the last 30 days, we had 2,500 engagements. So that's not just people flipping through the page, they're clicking on things, they're looking at things, which is great, that's where we want to be. We have hundreds more likes and many hundreds more followers, but everyone helps, so
And a few
please get
shares.
that. Oh, a lot of shares, yeah. Nutrition and food, I think the biggest things I just want to remind people about are our in-house meals that are served Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on the alternating days we send home a cold meal for folks. We haven't really seen the increase to the level of pre-COVID for our meals, but we want people to know that we are open and invite them to come in for fellowship, for that social interaction as well as a great meal. We're doing SNAP and HIP applications every week here at the Senior Center now. On the first and third weeks of the month, the House of Peace and Education sends representatives to do SNAP and HIP, which is a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and the Healthy Incentives Program, formerly known as food stamps. But we get a ton of people, a lot of seniors, that are eligible and are now applying for that. On the alternating weeks, second and fourth of the month, DTA has representatives here. Now that's huge. That's a State Department that's here because they see that it has value. We just started Tasting Tuesdays, so every Tuesday we have a little, every other Tuesday we have a little snack that's prepared, quick and easy. How can you're having somebody at the house, you want some quick snacks, and that CAC is doing that for us. They're doing Tasting Tuesdays. Last week we had peanut butter balls, which were wicked good. All sugar-free peanut butter. It tasted like something you would, kind of get out of a sugary sweet box. It was very good. They did a nice job. And it's nice to have partners like them that are willing to do things with us to engage the community. And similarly, we do things with them to engage the community, trying to get folks and drive folks to their program. Talked about COVID tests, emergency housing we already talked about. Don't forget, the Senior Center is the single largest source of counseling and advice for Medicare and health insurance counseling in the city and certainly the community. We do several hundred, almost 1,000 last year, Medicare, Mass Health, and private insurance applications through the Senior Center using our vendors Shine, supporting the health insurance needs of everyone, and Integrity Medicare Advisors. And then we also help folks with Social Security applications and disability applications, which are now an all online process, so we sit with them and go through their applications. And then last but not least, we have a big health fair we're hoping to do in August or September, but we're really waiting to hear about location. Our list of vendors is enormous, over 100. If we get half of that, it would be difficult to do that health fair here, just from vendor cars and participation. So we're looking at some off-site locations for that. Special programs, we have the Woo Sox, Armchair Travel. Our summer outing, our Senior Center outing is July 20th at the Templeton Fish and Gun. We don't know the cost yet for it, and the spaces go quick. Last year we served about 225 people at that barbecue. It was a full house, or I should say we sold all the tickets. Not everyone came, but we sold as many as we could to capacity. Dan Kerouac will come and perform as well. Volunteer recognition we have scheduled for August 31st. Please put that on your calendars and plan on joining us for that. That's really to recognize all the people that help make our programs and services successful throughout the year. Coming up this month, we have our Breakfast with a Badge drug take-back program. If people have old, outdated, or maybe even just unused medications in their house, they can bring them here. We put them in a DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency lockbox. You can drop them here and they're safely disposed of. We'll also take sharps. That is the third Thursday of the month. And I didn't print a calendar.
Yeah, do we have to scratch our names off of the bottles and stuff like that?
Nope.
No, just leave it like it
Just
is?
drop it in. Yep.
At one time, they were telling people to take their names off.
No, because nobody sees it other than the police department, maybe, and drug enforcement agency. Then they just bring it to a burn. So when it gets dropped in, it goes in a lockbox. They bring it to a burn center and they burn them all. Kentucky Derby, I just wanted to say was pretty neat. We were nervous about how it would go, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Everybody who went that I've been talking to all said they had a great time.
Yeah.
I was seeing some of the pictures on Facebook. and you can see a lot of people there on Facebook having a good time.
That's gonna be at
I
least
love
an
this.
annual.
I love the little kids' horses that you have with the stick in the back. Those are the ones that got me when I saw the horses.
We trailered them in, yeah, we're running. Job fair coming up on May 18th. We have, I think, 40 to 50 vendors already signed up. It'll be a packed house here. We'll use Mission of Grace Church as overflow parking, and try to just manage the parking lot with all those vendors, but it's gonna be pretty large. We may end up having to go to 2 floors. We just introduced the concert series again, kicked it off with Dennis Cormier. Next month is Music is Love with Don Kelly. We have our movie time. We are now gonna go back to doing monthly matinees here at the Senior Center for folks that wanna come. This month is Hidden Figures. So please, it's a great movie, by the way. Come and see it, it's pretty nice. Flag Day celebration, big deal on June 13th. Again, please mark your calendars. The program is not only in recognition of our flag and celebrating the flag, some fun facts and history, but it's also our veteran recognition event. It's our annual veteran recognition event. Last year, I think we presented 23 plaques, certificates of service, and service flags to veterans. We have Brigadier General Paul Smith coming as the keynote speaker. That's huge. I tell everyone here that I have the opportunity to tell, getting a Brigadier General at the Gardner Senior Center is a big deal. So please plan on coming that day. Again, it may be overflow crowd, so we'll have to do some parking at Mission of Grace, but we'll wait and see what it looks like before and if we need to, we'll hire some shuttle buses. Elder Care, we're doing our Elder Care program again. Hydroponic gardens were approved. We got 6 hydroponic gardens here at the Gardner Senior Center. They've been ordered. Should arrive here any day. Each garden will yield 28 plants a month all year. So, you know, that's 280 plants per planter, and we have 6 of them. So that's pretty neat.
Where are they going?
2 on each floor. So there'll be 2 down here, 2 in the auditorium, 2 upstairs in the season. Listening sessions, we talked about cooking demonstrations. We're hoping to do some cooking demonstrations with the Gardner CEC. They've applied for a grant to support that cooking program, slow cookers in particular. AARP and Golden Ages. I can't tell you enough, I can't say enough about how important these 2 organizations are. Golden Ages has had a robust crowd every month, thanks to Gloria and her crew. You have a wonderful group of volunteers that do a super job. So this month's speaker is Lynn Barrio. Lynn is the director or assistant director of court-appointed special advocates. Will be a great program. She's fun and engaging, and most importantly, unbelievably smart. So can't wait to hear her event, and that's coming up next Wednesday.
Oh, this week.
Oh, this one, yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's the 11th. Tomorrow. Yep. So it's tomorrow,
Yeah.
and we'll send out an email blast today about that. Yep.
I called her and confirmed she's gonna be here.
Nice. Yeah. AARP is meeting again. They're having their first meeting on June 15th. Annual meeting, installation of officers. If you are not currently an AARP member, please think about joining. If you're not currently a Golden Age member, please think about joining. Both are very unbelievably low cost. I was amazed from a membership cost perspective. So it's not a heavy hit. Of course, if anybody has any issues and really wants to belong and is struggling financially, we will figure out how to make that happen for you.
AARP just had massive campaign about renewing your membership every year. They can do it automatically out of your checking account.
Right, that's the annual, that's the national.
It's the national.
Right, right.
And it was like $12, I guess.
Yeah, $12 a year for national, and then to be a local chapter, you have to be a national chapter, so you have to pay the 12, and then it's an additional $5 for our local chapter. So for 17 bucks a year, that's not a lot. In Golden Ages, it's under $5, so you know, is it 5?
Yeah,
All right,
it's
$5.
I didn't know today.
So
Yes.
Where do you mean?
for 25 bucks,
Yeah.
Oh, here?
Upstairs,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we haven't been able to meet due to the restrictions from national on COVID. But we finally got the green light, and now we're able to go
good.
back to it, and we'll have the installation banquet, and from there we'll start in September. Yeah, which we're all looking forward to.
oh, we'll start
That's
before
great. That's good
September.
news.
August 20th is the first AARP event. It's a shredding event. So we'll have
Right, right.
from 9 a.m. to
About the
12.
monthly meetings.
Oh, yeah,
That's what
monthly
I'm
meetings.
talking
I'm
about.
sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
On September 7th, the AARP Safe Driving course is going to be happening, so that's limited to 20 people. There is a cost involved, but you get a discount on your insurance if you participate. And then Golden Agers, next month we have the artist, the photographer, wildlife photographer, and I forget his name. Okay, I apologize. But some of his pictures, some of his photographs are upstairs on display. So take a minute and peruse them. It's pretty neat. We'll keep them here on display for the next month until his presentation.
I saw them yesterday when I was here for the Dennis Cormier concert. What a great pictures that were all on the tables upstairs up against the wall. Really enjoy it.
The ones in the big hall, right, those is?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, in the big hall, yeah. I'm going to skip over community support right now and go right to community leadership. Just thank you to everyone who's been involved, including the guests on Senior Moments. For those of you who are still interested, Ron will be having a guest appearance later. He'll be signing CDs and autographs after his
That's why it's not on television, because I got the CDs.
Can I make a comment about that at this time?
Yeah.
I watched it because, of course, Ron and I have been friends forever, and he gave me the schedule, and I had to see the performance, but it was so informative. I mean, I'm involved here, but yet I learned so much that day, and you both did a great job. And is there a way, like, does the public know who the next speaker will be? I mean, you're telling us now it could be, there's no way to tell us?
No.
So.
No. So our speaker this month, who was scheduled, wasn't able to make it, and so we've rescheduled that person, but oftentimes what happens is a week before, oftentimes, not always, and not the majority, but there'll be a conflict. And GET's been very flexible in changing our recording times, our studio time, but we're not always able to do that. So this month, we had to move it out a month, and are hoping that the mayor is able to slip in kind of on late notice to do that. But Mike does a great job, and he talks about, all of the very relevant things that are happening for our senior community. So I'm really excited about the possibility of having him as our guest this month.
Yeah, it was a great format. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it is a great format, and I think one of the things Ron did that I'm very appreciative of, and I may put him on this task, is getting that schedule. So having the patience to wait until the schedule shows up, then writing it down, and if somebody did that, then I would publish it for all to see.
Because we were looking at, he was mentioning, he said, oh, we're going to find out when you're on, and this and that, senior moments, and other things going on. We were looking for the thing about the tradesman. Remember, I was talking about there's an ad on there already. If you need some help at your home, bring a deck up, or fixing up a ramp to somebody has a difficulty with mobility. There's a phone number on that shows up on that ad. And I was telling them about it. I said, now if you could get that and put that on our Facebook page for our people here, and then also whenever there's anything inappropriate for us, and that's kind of pushing what we're doing here, have that on. And I told her, I said, I will sit there one day and spend an hour one day watching this. Watching the reel go through.
Have like a slide watching party.
Yeah. I'll make the popcorn.
Serve some drinks. Just some capital improvement things that I want to focus on are the ones that are highlighted in the report. The food warmer, the ice machine, the air purifiers. I mean, we're talking about $35,000 easily of capital improvements that are being done here that are outside the scope of our budget. Thanks to the support of the mayor and the city council, we're very appreciative. They are finding ways to make things happen that are just really kind of pretty remarkable from my perspective. We are doing some things on the staircase within our budget. We just put signage up, big warning signs, trying to get people to be just more attentive when they're walking down the stairs. We'll add some additional lighting, some track lighting, focus lighting, just see if that will help. And then just generally signage. We're doing a lot of signage stuff here. Support, we talk about those. There's a lot of organizations that support us in big ways in the community, and a lot of community leadership that support us. So please take a look at that, and if you see these folks, please make sure you say thank you, because they are all doing heavy lifts for us. Now, I would like to, if I may, if nobody has any questions, two things, one thing. Helen last week she helps organize the, Lindstrom helps organize the cribbage group. She said, our boards are looking a little old. Can you help us get somebody to restore them? made one call and got 3 guys who are gonna sand them down, repaint them, poly them. I mean, that's just really nice to know you have that support and those resources. So as that gets done, but also it's important for our people who are running the programs to know that they have our support, that we're there to do that. So I do want to call your attention to the gifts, because I'm going to ask you to accept the list of gifts, and I will send that along to the City Council to accept for this year, including cash donations in these amounts from these agencies that are listed, some durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, shower chairs, canes, commodes, which do not have to go to the council because they fall underneath the $500 threshold per gift. Some rocking chairs that were donated, which probably also fall under the 500, but just to be sure, I'm going to send those up to the council. Sterilite gave us a truckload of bins and buckets that we share with the CAC for food distribution and storage. That was almost $1,000 contribution, retail value. And then just some small stuff that I think people need to know about. Folks from the community have brought us in brand new. They go down to the store and buy 20 CDs and bring them here and donate them to the center. If you go in the back now, our CD case is bursting, which is great. Flags, we had some new flags donated by the Tetzloff family. The medical bag from Gardner Rehab, that's probably at least a $600 value. The bag alone was $200 plus all the stuff that was in it. CHC gave us a small med kit as well, and that was a $300 or $400 donation. And the face masks, 5,000 face masks each from Hayward Hospital and CHC. So if you would, Mr. Chair, I would ask for a motion, if you are agreeable, from the board to accept the list of cash donations and send them up to the City Council for.
I believe so. Can we have a motion made to accept the cash donations and the other donations that Mike, the director, has to bring to the City Council?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. We're all set there, Mike.
No, we actually have to take a vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Any opposed?
We're all set.
And just so you know, for your edification, our staff has a 2-step process. If we receive a donation, we register that donation at the day we get it. So we put it in a log, put the value. If we have to estimate the value, we ask generally the people who donated what that value is, with the exception of durable medical equipment. We do not track that because it comes in and goes out just as quickly as we get it, it goes out. And then similarly with cash, any payment we get for any program, 2 staff members have to log and register at the time we get it. So they can't like put it aside and come back later and count it. They count it, they log it, and then that log, that receipt log, has to tie in to the turnover to the city. So we're being very, I think, aggressive from a financial management perspective. And then the last thing I'd just like to ask is for your consideration, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Several members of the community have agreed to come serve on our Council on Aging as associate members, if you'll have them. I'd like to do this one at a time if I can. Paul Crowley. Paul is a resident of Gardner and has been an adjunct member of Massachusetts Community College. He's retired, lives with his wife Julie in Gardner, comes to the center weekly and is pretty engaged. So Paul Crowley would be the first I'd like to have considered as associate member starting in June, if you would approve him.
Do I have a motion that we approve the
So
gentleman,
motion.
Mr. Crowley?
So motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. We're all set there.
Tracy Hutchinson is the CEO of Gamma. Gamma's been a great organization and partner with us. Tracy is a force to be reckoned with. She's uber smart, very resourceful, and very committed to the senior population, as is evidenced by the amount of support Gamma's given us. I don't know what more to say about Tracy. If you don't know her, then get to know her, because she's great, as is her staff. So we do a lot of work with the farm, the Kaldarberg Dahl farm, down on the end of the intersection of 140 and Green Street, the old racetrack.
Yep.
They're doing just incredible things with folks that are recovering from substance use and abuse. So really excited to have Tracy express some interest, and with your approval, we'll bring Tracy on as an associate member.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept Tracy?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Two more, and then we're done. Dan Kelly, former mayor of the city of Gardner, very involved, very involved in the senior center for years. Is involved in veterans organizations and has been my fallback when my bingo colors don't show up. I call Dan, I'm like, what are you doing? Get up here, so they'll come up. He's really excited about the prospect of serving. And if you don't know Dan,
Oh, I know Dan.
yeah, he's got a resume, so.
Oh, mayor, fireman, former fireman too.
Yep. I would ask that you entertain a motion to accept Dan as an associate member.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
And then lastly is Del Peterson. Del is a former board member and has been pretty involved. She's a pretty engaged and outspoken advocate for the senior community. So I think that she'll bring a different perspective, which is good to the group as well. So with your blessing, bring Del on.
Motion to approve, Dell.
Very good. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good.
And then I'm just going to let you know the three that are in the wing are Mike Gary. Mike was assistant to the mayor, Steve Erickson, served as the deputy director for the Workforce Investment Board. He now serves as the president of the Chamber of Commerce. He is a senior. Much more, no, I won't go on record saying that. Mike Gary and I are talking. I wasn't able to confirm Mike today. So that will probably be coming up at future meetings. Deb Bernard is the administrator of the Banal House. I think having a housing person on here would be great to do. But we also, and Deb has been very involved with us as well, has provided some heavy lifting in getting some of our seniors who were in homelessness situations into an apartment there, so she gets it, she understands, is very engaged. And then last, I just want to let you know, Denise Whitney, who said no at this point, but is very interested. She's due to retire in the next year. She's at Mount Wachusett Community College. Very connected in the community, but
I just see you on Facebook.
She teach.
lifelong learning.
Oh, lifelong learning.
Which is really good for us, because that's the connection we have to seniors, to the courses and stuff. All right, that's my update on that. Thank you for those four, I appreciate
Did
it.
you get all those people lined up?
I was surprised we were talking about the other day.
I gotta work for my money. I gotta work for my
So they
money.
just came and volunteered, right?
A little nudging.
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right, that's all I have here.
Make a motion that we end the meeting.
I think we just have to go through open discussion.
Yeah, open
if there's
discussion.
any.
Anybody have anything to bring up for the meeting?
Beautiful.
All right. So, and I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
very well.
Beautiful.
We adjourned at 3:08.
Thank you all for all you do. Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. I will bring it tomorrow.
Okay, I'll be here.
I should have brought it before.